The problem lay buried, unspoken for many years in the minds of American women. It was a strange stirring, a sense of dissatisfaction, a yearning that women suffered in the middle of the 20th century in the United States. Each suburban wife struggled with it alone. As she made the beds, shopped for groceries, matched slipcover material, ate peanut butter sandwiches with her children, chauffeured Cub Scouts and brownies, lay beside her husband at night, she was afraid to ask even of herself the salient question, is this all? The Feminine Mystique by Betty Friedan. Existentialism is a philosophical movement and approach to understanding human existence that emerged in the late 19th and 20th century. It focuses on the individual's experience of existence, emphasizing the significance of free will, personal responsibility, and the search for meaning in an otherwise seemingly indifferent or absurd universe. Existentialism as a philosophical movement has several key principles and themes. The French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre argued that existentialism can be summarized in the phrase, existence precedes essence. In existentialism, it is believed that individuals are born without a predetermined meaning or essence. Instead, they exist first and then create their own essence through the choices that they make and the actions that they take. Existentialism can also be seen as a fundamental search for meaning and purpose in the individual's life. Existentialism often grapples with the absurdity of human existence in an oftentimes indifferent universe. This can lead to feelings of anguish as individuals confront the inherent contradictions and uncertainties of life. A central concern of existentialism is therefore the quest for meaning in life. It acknowledges that life may lack inherent meaning, and it is up to each individual to find their purpose and create their own sense of fulfillment. The 2023 Barbie movie presents some surprisingly deep themes as it grapples with issues of gender roles, the status of women in society, and questions of individuality and identity. Perhaps most surprisingly, however, are the existentialist overtones of the film. As such, the following video essay will explore the Barbie movie as first and foremost an existentialist film and explore what it has to say about the subject. In the Barbie movie, the theme of existentialism delves into Barbie's personal journey of self-discovery, breaking free from societal norms and finding meaning in her own existence. The movie encourages viewers to reflect on their own lives and embrace their uniqueness, emphasizing the value of individuality and the importance of forging one's own path. I hope that you all enjoy this video essay, and I would like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you enjoy this film? Did it live up to the hype, or did it live up to the controversy? Let me know. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. We have a very interesting topic here today. I want to give you my brief overview of the Barbie movie and my reaction to it. Now, this movie has received a lot of attention, especially kind of a conservative backlash by pundits such as Ben Shapiro, most famously, famously on Twitter and the reaction videos that he made, and Candace Owens, and a lot of backlash against this film. It feels weird to talk about backlash against the Barbie movie, but a lot of the backlash in this film focuses on the themes of feminism that the film purports to support. Now, I want to be clear that those themes are there. Loosely speaking, I mean, the film does seem to focus on and promote a sense of identity for women. It explores things such as the relationship of gender roles, the place that women have in society. And in a way, I guess you could say it encourages women to form and to forge their identity, even over and against forming one's identity separate from one's romantic partner. So this might be where some of the backlash is coming from. To be frank with you, it's all a little confusing to me, but that's not what I want to focus on here. What I want to focus on here is I'm going to treat Barbie as a existentialist film in the vein of some of the classics. An existentialist film because it is first and foremost dealing with this theme of death and facing one's own mortality. So that aside, let's get to it.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
So the Barbie movie opens up with kind of a day in the life of Barbie as she's living in Barbie land and going through her daily routine. And her daily routine is perfect. She wakes up, she kind of goes through the ordinary everyday motions. Of course, this film is a reference to how people play with Barbies and play with dolls. So when she takes a drink from a cup, she's not actually drinking anything, or when she's showering, there's no actual water. But she goes through a day, she meets with her friends, she goes to the beach, and every night she has this party at her house. And it's during this party where the previous scene takes place, where she asked if you guys ever think about dying. And if we take a step back and look at this from an existentialist point of view, what this is drawing attention to is the flawlessness of Barbie's life. Like, she has it all. She's got the nice house, she's got the friends, family, and she's enjoying every second of her life. But this feeling of dread starts to creep in at the beginning of the movie. This feeling of questioning, of existential anguish starts to creep into her mind. And then we start to get Barbie questioning not just her own existence, but the place that she also has in this world. Now, this questioning of life, this questioning of the day-to-day routines that we all have to go through on a regular basis, is a theme that features prominently in a lot of existentialist films. What comes to mind, of course, for me, is the existentialist TV series True Detective.
Why should I live in history, huh? Look, I don't want to know anything anymore. This is a world where nothing is solved. When someone once told me time is a flat circle. If everything we've ever done or will do, we're gonna do over and over and over again. And that little boy and that little girl, they're gonna be in that room again and again and again forever.
This notion that time is a flat circle draws attention to the fact of the repetitiveness of human existence. The fact that we often do the same things on a daily basis over and over again. And within existentialism, this leads people to question the value of these things and the value of this day to day existence. Value in the sense that it raises questions of the meaningfulness of it all, and by consequence, the meaningfulness of the life of the person who is living through these things. An added element to this that we saw in the True Detective clip when Russ Cole is talking about time as a flat circle can, in a sense, relate to ethics, the value and the meaning of our individual actions and whether those actions are good or bad. Now, Cole, as a pessimist, is drawing to the fact that the horrible actions that we commit, the atrocities that are performed against other human beings, are going to be repeated over and over again. Now, of course, we could take this as metaphorical, but if we're thinking about it almost in a Kantian sense, we can kind of interpret this as a moral imperative. Act in such a way that we are aware of the fact that we're going to do these actions over and over again, which would theoretically make us want to act different. And this is, in a sense, what the philosopher Nietzsche had in mind when he talks about this concept of eternal recurrence. And Nietzsche's idea of eternal recurrence is pretty pertinent, especially to the beginning of the Barbie film.
But you must be as frightened as I am of death and godlessness.
We must die, but at the right time. Death only loses its terror when one has consummated one's life. Have you consummated your life?
I have achieved a great deal.
But have you lived your life?
Or have you been lived?
By it. Do you stand outside your life, grieving for some life that you never lived?
I cannot change my life. I have my family, my patients, students. It's too late.
I cannot tell you how to live differently. If I did, you'd still be living by some other's design. But perhaps I could give you a gift, Joseph. Maybe I could give you a thought. What if some demon were to say to you that this life, as you now live it and have lived it in the past, you would have to live once more, but innumerable times more. There would be nothing new in it. every pain, every joy, every unutterably small or great thing in your life would just return to you. The same succession, same sequence, again and again, like an hourglass of time. Imagine infinity. Consider the possibility that every action you choose, Yosef, you choose for all time. Then all unlived life would remain inside you, unlived throughout eternity. Do you like this idea? Do you hate it? Which? Hate it.
Now, there is a lot of discussion within scholarly circles, especially for those philosophers who have dedicated their lives to studying Nietzsche, about what exactly this concept of eternal recurrence means, but we're going to leave those scholarly debates aside. I think you can see the connection here with the Barbie movie in the sense that the movie starts off with Barbie going through the same sort of things. At least we have the implication that she's doing the same things each day. She tells Ken, for example, that the party that she has is going to happen again tomorrow night, and then the day after that, and then the day after that, right? So the sense that Barbie's day-to-day routine has not changed and is not going to change. But all of this is completely thrown off track, and the course of the movie radically changes once Barbie has that thought about her own death. Once Barbie starts to ask this question, going back to the Betty Friedan quote, is this all? Is this it? Is this the only thing that I have to look forward to? And although the facade of Barbie, in terms of set design, color scheme, thematically is more positive and upbeat, as opposed to, let's say, a show like True Detective, which is more dark and gritty, it nevertheless still explores this theme of time as a flat circle. And although Russ Cole and Barbie could not be more different as characters, they still ultimately come to the same conclusion, which is that the existential dread of knowing that life comes to an end radically shapes the course and direction that the character heads in. Again, you can kind of interpret Nietzsche's idea of eternal recurrence in a more ethical way, in the sense that you can ask it is, am I prepared to do this thing, whatever this thing is, whether it's my daily routine or the action that I'm about to do? Am I prepared to do this action over and over and over again? And with respect to the life of the individual, is this the life that I want to live? Is this the sort of existence I'm comfortable with and that I want to continue to perform for the rest of my time here? For Barbie, of course, this questioning of her own existence leads to some fundamental problems that start to cause issues in other areas of her life, represented here comically by her feet becoming flat. But this causes Barbie to go out on an adventure to change course, to seek out the people who owned her in the real world in an attempt to course correct. Now, in this attempt to course correct, of course, Barbie herself is going to fundamentally change. And this is what I think the ultimate point is, that once we start asking these questions, once we start going down this route, it leads sort of to this process of self-discovery. And this ties in with one of the fundamental themes of existentialism, as I mentioned in the introduction of this video, explained by Jean-Paul Sartre. He has this phrase that he'd become famous for that kind of defined existentialism: existence precedes essence. And here we have a quote by Sartre explaining exactly what that phrase means from a book that he wrote titled Existentialism. Sartre says, it means that, first of all, the human individual exists, turns up, appears in the world, and only afterwards defines himself. If the human individual, as the existentialist thinks of him, is indefinable, it is because he is first is nothing. Only afterwards will he be something, and he himself will have made what he will be. Thus, there is no human nature, since there is no God to conceive of it. Not only is the human individual what he conceives himself to be, but he is also only what he wills himself to be after his thrust towards existence. And this, I think, perfectly sums up the trajectory of Barbie as a character. She starts off her existence in Barbie land with this perfect life, perfect friends, perfect existence. This, of course, is all called into question by her questioning ideas about death and her place in this world. This leads her on a journey into the real world where she meets her former handler, her former owner, as well as her former owner's child. And they tackle the issues that have become plagued in Barbie Land, mostly not to give too many spoiler here's, but when Ken goes to the real world and he brings the patriarchy back to Barbie Land. But all of this is Barbie's own journey of self discovery. And it's through this process of entering the real world and coming back to Barbie Land that Barbie starts to form her own identity and a sense of who she is and meaning as a person. And we see this exemplified in the end of the film where Barbie comes into contact with the creator of Barbie, and she has this montage where she meets these other people and kind of sees the life cycle and development of all these different women who she's supposed to exemplify. And she comes to the conclusion that she herself would like to become human, regardless of the fact that being human means that she will no longer be perfect, that being human means that she will no longer live in this perfect world, but will have to live in a world of imperfection, will have to live in a world of inequality, of discrimination, of patriarchy. She'll go from living in a world where Barbies run everything and life is lived out in this blissful existence to a world where women are treated as second class citizens. But she still chooses to go to that world because it's by going to that world that she has obtained meaning. Perfectly exemplifies here what Sartre is saying. And it also exemplifies what another philosopher, Albert Camus, will say about the struggle of the life of the individual. And so I'll leave you here with a quote by Albert Camus in his Myth of Sisyphus. Camus begins his essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, with the following: there is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. Judging whether life is or is not worth living amounts to answering the fundamental question of philosophy. All the rest comes afterwards. These are facts the heart can feel, yet they call for careful study before they become clear to the intellect. Skipping down to the last paragraph of that same essay, Camus says this: I leave Sisyphus at the foot of the mountain. One always finds one's burden again. But Sisyphus teaches the higher fidelity that negates the gods and raises rocks. He too concludes that all is well. This universe henceforth without a master seems to him neither sterile nor futile. Each atom of that stone, each mineral flake of that night-filled mountain in itself forms a world. The struggle itself towards the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Likewise, I think we have to say that one must imagine Barbie happy. Even though at the end of the film she encounters old age, disease, the fact that women don't enjoy the status that she once believed that they did, Barbie still chooses to enter into that world, still chooses to enter into that suffering. The big question, of course, is why? Because earlier in the film, when given the choice by Weird Barbie, Barbie wants to stay in Barbie Land. She wants to stay in that comfort. She wants to stay in that perfect world, even though she knows that that perfect world might be phony in a sense. It's fake. But at the end of the film, she chooses to leave it behind. She chooses to become a human. Why? Because it's that struggle for Barbie that she finds that makes her life meaningful. And according to Camus, it's that struggle that makes our lives beautiful. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this. Once again, please let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you all next time.